Well, President Donald Trump delivering a record-breaking State of the Union address last night, touching on everything from immigration to tariffs and the U.S. economy. Now, with KUSMA renegotiations ahead and major implications for Canadian industry, we're joined now live by Ontario's representative in Washington, David Paterson. David, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Tammy.
First off, Trump didn't directly reference Canada at all during that speech. Were you surprised by that in general?
I think the only indirect message had to do with hockey, and at least it wasn't rude. So I think we're okay. But it was of course the president showed up with a lot to say as he usually did, coming close to 2 hours. It was interesting because it started off a little bit more disciplined and focused on economic issues that clearly I think there's some sensitivity about in the United States. Tariffs are taking some effect on American economy, and so a lot of focus on sort of tax returns and electricity costs and the cost of housing. So some familiar themes there, but then the speech sort of went back into a mix of medal giving and almost game showish in certain times. So it went on and on, but it is really, I think, a reflection of what's happening here in the United States, and a lot of concern after the Supreme Court and some of the tariff issues that have been coming up.
Now, you mentioned the Supreme Court there. Despite the Supreme Court striking down those Trump tariffs, he did talk about tariffs quite a bit last night during the address and made it seem as if tariffs are not going anywhere and that they may become an even larger part of trade policy in the future. How do you think that will impact the renegotiation of KUSMA, which is coming up in just a couple of months?
Yeah, he actually, I think, glossed over tariffs to a degree. He did mention it. He did get into talking about it. He did not attack the Supreme Court justices sitting right in front of him to the degree some expected. But what they've done is essentially replace the struck down tariffs with a different tariff referred to under Section 122. It's sort of a 150-day plug that will allow him to continue to apply tariffs until a new set of tariffs come forward under another Section 301. So it's very confusing. But he has not done anything other than double down on wanting to continue on with this policy. So we have to be prepared to deal with that. And as you say, we're coming right now into the discussions around the KUSMA renewal. It's due July 1st. And so there's a lot of problem solving and work to be done between now and then.
And with that problem solving, we bring up the auto sector, and we know that you have a very informed lens when it comes to that particular industry with your experience. How do you think a larger tariffs playing at least a larger role when it comes to the renegotiation of that North American trade plan will impact the auto sector, especially here in Ontario where it is so prevalent?
Yeah, for the province of Ontario, the auto sector, direct and indirect jobs is somewhere between 500 and 600,000 jobs. So very, very important, but so too is our forestry sector and our steel sector, especially getting harmed by tariffs. And so the KUSMA discussions will, in many ways, talk about issues across different sectors. We have a able federal team now in place. We have our new ambassador, Mark Wiseman, here in the embassy. Met with him for an hour this week. And I think they're ready to go and take on some of these challenges. The thing for us to keep on remembering, though, is that trade is a two-way street. And the impacts of trade are hurting in the United States right now. They do depend on Canadian trade. Whether it's we had some discussion about a certain bridge in the Detroit-Windsor area this week. And it's good to remember that, 30% of Canada-U.S. trade goes through Detroit-Windsor, and that's 10% of all of the United States worldwide trade. So making sure that trade continues to flow, especially the auto sector, is important, and there are hundreds of thousands of U.S. jobs that depend on their ability to make vehicles and export them to Canada. We are their biggest market, their biggest customer. And so, very important for us to continue to remind them what's at stake in terms of being able to continue to trade with Canada, as we take care of ourselves more and more and diversify our own trade.
Absolutely. All right. We'll have to leave it there. David Paterson, live from Washington, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.